We've done trunk or treats at every church I've worked at.
I don't know that I've ever been to a Methodist church that didn't do a trunk or treat.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty easy event because, like, you have to collect candy, but basically everybody, all your volunteers, like, provide the stuff. So
all the entertainment is brought to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's from a church overhead standpoint, it's pretty low. It's low cost, high, or at least medium impact.
I would love to know, like, who was the official first person to come up with this, and then how did it catch on so effectively that every single Methodist church, and non-Methodist churches too, I'm sure there are Baptist churches and stuff.
I mean, my guess is that it was like many churches do. They wanted a place for kids to be able to trick or treat where they couldn't easily do that for one reason or another.
Well, the 90s were so overly protective of the world, and 90s Christians, as comedians have put it, are the most Christian Christians, and just they hate everything, and so they're just like, no, you're not allowed to do that. No, you can't listen to that. No, you can't watch that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of churches that don't mess with Halloween. It's too close to the devil, which is silly to me. But I think if your faith can't stand up to Halloween, you got a pretty weak God.
It's like it's the same like families that are like, we don't celebrate Halloween because the devil. We don't read Harry Potter because witchcraft. And
yeah, I'm like, okay.
It's like it's literally just entertainment, but whatever.
Yeah.
Here we are at the end of Peter. So do you have some like a little bit of sadness saying goodbye to Simon?
A little bit, just because I love talking about Peter, and it's mixed. So this is a really great example. Peter, I've preached about Peter, I don't know how many times, and
at least 4.
Yeah. And I've never done a series or a sermon, I don't think, even on anything to do with the saints. I've not really researched them outside of like what I'm doing right now, preparing for this series. But this November series is totally uncharted waters. And so that's a little bit, it's exciting because I'm learning new things. And that's nice because it's easy to stay in your comfort zone. It's like what the whole series was about.
Yeah, but there's this also, the other side of that coin is when you learn something new, especially about like historical figures that really existed, there's like this excitement that comes with it. So in some ways, it's probably even easier to preach about something new because you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell people about this because this is super cool.
Yeah, Peter, I realized, because I did Peter so early in my time at Creekwood. So when you go to a new appointment, like all your stories are on the table. No one's ever heard any of your stories. No one's heard your analogies. No one's heard anything. So everything is open to you. And like, I've had to pull some stuff out because I'm using too much material too fast. I'm burning through all the things that kind of are the old standards. And so, because I've preached Peter so many times and I kind of had the whole playbook open, it was harder. Like some of the sermons went longer and I had so much because I would just start going down a road and I would look
you
back
had a couple
and go,
that were like
man,
in the 26 plus minute.
Yeah, I was
mark.
like, I am not on my notes anymore. I am way off. And so that's tough. But that's the other problem too with a series I've never done before is you do all this research because you're learning something new. And because I didn't do research for Peter, like I refreshed a lot of the research I've done in the past, but I've researched Peter to death. And so I'm not going to read any new books about him. But for this kind of series where it's kind of an overview, if we were doing a deeper dive into something, I would. But for the saints, like I'm reading a book on the saints, I'm doing all this research. And so when you do that, you have a million things that you've learned that you want to say, which then can make it tough writing sermons because it's like, well, what do I include? What do I not include? It's just like when they talk about when they make, movies, the editing room is the most important, part of it. It's kind of the final rewrite of the script.
When
is what you leave
I first started doing video work, and I focused way more on learning how to edit well than I did on cinematography and like, camera angles and lighting and of course in later on you start like obsessing over lighting and
Right.
camera angles and things like that. But it all started with the editing because that was the thing that I had discovered would make me look like I knew what I was doing faster than anything else.
Yeah, and I think so when you talk about anything in this vein, acting, film, sermons, anything, there's multiple components to it. And so for preaching, like your delivery really matters, and that's where I've noticed a lot of United Methodist preachers struggle. Whereas if you come from a more charismatic or more kind of where you have the famous preachers from, which are kind of more fundamentalists, you've got your John Pipers and, the kind of evangelical preachers that are really famous. People, that's what gets recruited. You see famous preachers, and so you want to be that. You're in you go to fellowship and you want to be in the band. You go to Hillsong, you are what you see. Well, the United Methodist Church doesn't really have that in their space. We're more about kind of small groups and community. And so we have a lot of people coming up who are great at those elements, pastoral care and adult education and discipleship and missions and outreach. But a lot of our preaching, and so I do a lot of interviewing of candidates who want to be pastors, and they're very theologically sound, but they're just so boring. Like they don't have presence on stage.
Dry delivery, you can have the best content ever. And I've worked with pastors like this where I'm just like, God, your manuscript is probably beautiful,
right?
But I am about to fall asleep.
So delivery is a big part of it. But then when you're writing it, and to me, this is kind of like to be just a good preacher, you have to be able to write good content and deliver it well. If you want to give a great sermon, it's that editing part that you really like. That's a key step because usually like a great preacher is going to have way more content than they need. And they're going to be able to improvise in the delivery. Things are going to come to them in the moment. They're going to be able to embellish stories. So you're going to have a lot more content, both that you pre-worked on and that comes to you in the moment. And knowing how to edit it when you're writing it and how to self-edit when you're giving it are two skills that I think when you see someone just deliver just an incredible sermon, they probably cut so much out of it. Because more is definitely not always better.
I can remember the first few videos that I did that were like 3 to 5 minutes long. And the original cut was like 12 to 18 minutes. And the thing is, when you're new to it, you are so in love with every single shot that you get so excited, but you don't realize how little information our brains need to put a full, well-rounded idea together. We need so little. And it's the great speakers, the great preachers, the great storytellers, communicators that can know exactly which pieces of the information to give you and give it in a way that makes you actually like engaged with whatever this concept or story is. And my old work is just probably embarrassingly long where I'm like, those first videos that were like, 4.5 minutes probably could have been a clean 2. And I'm just like, that's impossible. And I look at it now, I'm like, yeah, these cuts are not short enough. You need to go.
Well, and I've noticed that this happens for me, and I know I'm not the only one, that when you go through your career, like when I first started preaching, and I see this all the time in brand new preachers, and it cracks me up. Like if they're in seminary, they just finished seminary. It's like a theological textbook in their sermon. They are giving so much content. They have 13 points with 4 subpoints. And I'm like, I went back and I've seen some of my early sermons and I'm like, nobody knew what I was talking about. Nobody is following this because I'm going so deep into whatever book I just read that week for my class that I didn't know any of this a week ago, but I read this book and so
Now
it's
you're
just
the
way
expert,
too much.
and I have to educate you.
Well, then later, it's just interesting. So you want to share it all. Well, then later in your career, like, because you stop reading. When you finish seminary, at least I did, like, I mean, I'm having to read like 10 books per class. I'm cranking out 2-3 books a week. I'm writing papers. I'm doing all this. So you kind of get burned out on it. When you get out, I'm like, I don't want to go near a book for years. And so after a while, like you kind of swing the other way where your sermons then, like you don't do any research. You're not reading any commentaries. You're just getting up there and just kind of saying what you think about it. And you can tell some of those sermons where you're like, it's just their opinion on stuff. It's a lot of self-help. It's like, I'm going to give you 3 easy steps to deepen your faith. 1, here's what I do. It's like, okay, great, but that might not work for everybody else. And so that's kind of stuff where they get real. There's just no academics in it all. So I think trying to find a good blend of the two is helpful, but I've learned that throughout my career, it goes up and down, ebbs and it flows. Or if it's a certain series, like this Peter series I've done a million times, but Saints is brand new. So it's just all over the place.
I'm excited about it. I think that makes me more excited about it. But before we get to Saints, there were a couple of things that I think these were thoughts that were like building throughout the course of the series. And so I just want to close out the Simon Peter series. This one, because we started talking about this, it was at least referenced early on. Why do you think Jesus told Peter that he was going to betray him? Why give him, why tell him?
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, Peter had already made it very clear, I know you are God. I know who you are. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking for any more cool tricks to convince me. I am convinced. But would he have not noticed that he, told 3 different people that, no, I don't know that guy, and then not felt bad? Or was Jesus doing that to kind of elevate that moment so that Peter could feel the shame or whatever? Why tell him?
That's a really great question. I mean, he was talking about someone was going to betray him.
And he told Judas too. By the way, it's you.
And Peter's like, I'll never do this. And so I don't know if it's just more in the line of Jesus trying to tell Peter, no, this is trying to teach him, trying to mentor him. Or if it's because he knew it was going to happen and he knew that it would have a greater impact if he warns him about him and he still does it.
It's almost like a really good music teacher saying, no, you're going to mess up this intro. And they're like, I will not. And then they go up there and they absolutely botch it as soon as there's 50
or is
people
it
watching.
Is he daring him? Is he giving him a chance where he's like, no, Peter, you will deny me. And he's giving him a preview and saying, I think you'll do this. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I mean, the specificity of 3 times before the cock crows twice, that's pretty specific. I mean,
exactly.
He's pulling his God card being like, no, I've seen it. You definitely do.
It's not even just like an aphorism. It's not like before the sun comes up, you'll deny me. It's not like it is. It's too specific to, I don't know. It does. I've never thought about that. I've never thought about why does he tell him?
Why tell him?
Yeah.
And this goes back to 2 podcasts ago when I spent so much time thinking about this theory of basically Judas kind of being Severus Snape and secretly taking one for the cause and being the bad guy because somebody had to. Kind of thing. I've spent so much time thinking about that and considering that, and how not only interesting that is, but how plausible that could be.
Yeah, it's a fun. I mean, it's kind of like fan fiction. I mean, it's a fun theory. But I have no
I'm not putting any stock in it to where I'm hey, I'm ready to start telling people that this is how it happened. No, this is pure fan fiction here. But man, is it good?
I'm an evangelist for Judas. No, I don't know. This is an interesting. I've never considered why does he tell Peter Why does he fall? All that can come to my mind, 'cause that's where my brain goes, is there's an episode. Did you ever watch The Office?
I love The Office.
So when Robert California comes in and he makes his list,
it's just like, it's
and
just
they're
a
like,
doodle.
"What is this?" Right? Yeah, yeah. But then after he's like, "I don't think you have what it takes. Prove me wrong." I like some of that makes me wonder if that's kind of what's going on here, where he's like, "Peter, you're going to make this mistake. Prove me wrong."
I
Like,
love that you're
go beat the
referencing
Rock.
Robert California. He is one of my all-time favorite characters from any show ever.
He is one of the weirdest.
He's so out there. His opening,
his mannerisms and the way he talks are just so odd.
his opening scene where he's introduced into the show, and the three, Toby and Jim and whoever else, that they're interviewing him, and he's just absolutely smoking these guys and just like leaning back like, I don't care, is one of my, I have watched that scene so many times because I'm like, James Spader is putting on a masterclass of acting, and I don't know how he's doing this.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. It was unbelievably brilliant. Okay. So I found this interesting, and maybe this is just, I think I kind of may have figured it out but it's interesting. Even in the scripture from yesterday, Jesus calls him Simon, and then it immediately says, Peter was offended. Simon, do you love me? Peter was like, why did you, like, so they're referring to him as both names back and forth. And my guess is that that's just how the translators felt that it might be easiest to comprehend.
Or was it intentional?
Or was there some intentionality of referring to him as Peter because that's what we think of, that's what I think of at least, but then Jesus calling him Simon?
Yeah, if he gave him this nickname, why is he calling him Simon? Or is he saying,
So it's like,
you're
you know,
acting like
So it's like,
Simon
hey, Dwayne,
from
like,
before I met you?
The Rock was confused. No, Dwayne, do
Yeah.
this. The Rock was still perplexed. Like,
Well, or is he trying to say, like, I met you as Simon and I called you to be the Rock and you're not? So he keeps calling him Simon because I don't know. That's interesting. I think that the nickname part, kind of going back and forth, is interesting to me because I don't know. I haven't done like an audit to see, does he usually call him Simon? Does he only call him Simon sometimes? What is the over under on that? And I don't know.
I mean, I was reading through a lot of Peter's scripture throughout this, and most of the time he's referred to after that name change. He's pretty much referred to as Peter. There are a couple of other instances, I don't remember them offhand, but like, I don't know. And it also kind of just goes back to this idea that these were kind of youngish men and them just giving each other nicknames.
Yeah.
That has grown in my head into this like completely made up lore of just a bunch of dudes broing around.
Yeah.
And, you know, John just absolutely ripping on Peter constantly, and the Sons of Thunder, and like just all these things. It's just, I'm getting this picture in my head that they were just a bunch of dudes.
Well, on the topic of names too, something I noticed this time, and I noticed it in real time as I was reading the scripture on Sunday morning, is he says Simon, son of John, but in the beginning of the story, he's described as Simon Bar Jonah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so is it John or Jonah? Like what? Or is that two versions of the same name? Is it a different language? Like what? I don't know what this means. So that was
Sounds
odd
like
to
a
me.
conspiracy is brewing.
I don't know. I need to go back and kind of look at all this, because typically in scripture, things are symbolic and are chosen intentionally. Numbers, names, these kind of things are, in a lot of cases, more gravity is given to them being symbolic and carrying significance than necessarily being perfectly accurate. So they might be like, there was 144,000 people. Well, that's a multiple of 7. That's why they chose it. They didn't actually count. It wasn't a perfectly round number because that's how oral history works. So I feel like the way they record his name is gonna be intentional.
There's some significance to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's also just this idea that so many of these names and everything have grown over
Yeah.
the years of people interpreting the scripture through translation, because there's so many cases where there isn't a very clear-cut equivalent to a word or a phrase or something that we would just make, I mean, Jesus was, his name would have been Yeshua or Yeshu. And the A was more silent from what I've heard biblical historians say. And so I'm like, well, why don't we just call him Yeshua? Like if that's what they would have called him in Aramaic, then why don't we say that? Well,
it's just like anything. It's the English translation.
It's the English translation. It's like we don't call Germany
Peter
Deutschland. We call it Germany.
Well, yeah.
You go there, they call it Deutschland.
It's going to be...
Or Nihon is Japan. We say Japan.
Petros were the two Hebrew and Greek names for Peter.
So it could be something like that. I don't know. There's a lot of different possibilities, and I think it's just a good example of how complex and how many different factors could be at play in making these things happen.
Yeah. No, more questions. More questions I've not considered.
Maybe we're not done with Peter.
We're never done with Peter.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit on this Saints series. Is there something that's already popped up that you're like, whoa, that you're kind of excited to talk about or learn more about?
So in this series, it's not complicated. It's not the right word, but we're doing different things throughout this series. There's going to be a lot of kind of different elements leading into it. One, it starts on All Saints Sunday, which is going to be about All Saints Sunday, and it's kind of kicking off the Saints series. But we're not really doing the first sermon in a series usually kind of sets the tone for the whole series and kind of explains what we're doing, and then you get into some details from there. That's really going to be week 2 because All Saints is such a big deal on its own. So that's
right
a little
into the deep
odd.
end.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little odd to do that. And then week 2, where we sort of set the stage for the whole thing, Kevin's preaching. And so Kevin's going to kind of set the stage for the series, which I'm excited about because he has a different view on this than just because he's a different person. I mean, different people see things differently. But I'm really excited about the direction that he's told me he wants to go in. And then trying for me then to figure out, okay, then how do we navigate it? So All Saints Sunday, we're going to talk primarily about what is All Saints, how do we remember the saints here at Creekwood in our own lives and make it more local. Kevin's talking about saints throughout history and what do we mean when we say the word saint, because what people have images that come to mind when you hear the word saint. Either people come to mind or a certain type of character comes to mind.
I literally see a fleur-de-lis gold helmet.
Well, there you go. See, but when you think about like the saints in the
Saints.
church, I mean, there's all kinds of implications into that. What is a saint? How do you get canonized? We don't observe saints in the same way in the United Methodist Church. So, what do we mean when we say that a person is a saint? So, he's going to unpack a lot of that and then kind of give some historical examples. I'm looking at Scripture and kind of what do we see in those? If this is the characteristics we've identified as what we would think are to be saint-like or something we want to strive toward, where do we see that in Scripture? And is it in the main people, or do we kind of see that in some unlikely places?
I mean,
what
he's
made
called
them
Saint
like that?
Peter.
Yeah. So is that somebody that we would hold up in the same way? So there's that. And then in the last week, it's kind of bringing it back to us. Like, okay, we've talked about the saints that have left a legacy here at Creekwood and on our own personal lives. We talked about saints throughout history, saints in Scripture. Now, what are we called to do? If we're called to be saints, what does that mean? What are we striving toward? And so this series has some flow and some kind of logical symmetry. It's kind of reversed. Typically, I would want to start in Scripture and then move through historical saints and then come to modern day. But just the flow of the series is going to be kind of backwards. But I'm intrigued to see. I have no idea what the series is going to be because I don't know really what Kevin's going to say. He's told me, an overview, but really how we lean into that and what that looks like, I think is going to be different. So I'm excited because I think it's a little bit of an extension of Peter. We talk so much about Peter, how he's a flawed guy. He makes mistakes, but he also has incredible faith. Like he's a complicated person. He's a real human. And when it comes to the saints, I feel like we have a real rose-colored glasses view of the saints. They're all like, if you name someone that you think is a saint, someone like Mother Teresa or something, it's you usually paint them with like an all good brush. Like they were perfect at all times in their life, which is not true of any human being. And additionally, a lot of times people will hold up this idea of like moral purity, like somebody is, they give everything away. They've never said a bad thing in their life. They're only kind, like they're perfect. Is that really what it means to be a saint? What does that look like? And so,
I mean, we just talked about how flawed Peter was, and he is a canonized
But does that
saint.
mean that he's just a good leader, or would you call him a saint? Because those are two different things. And so I think that's where I'm really excited to see where we go in this, because I think it's going to open up a lot of what we talked about in this last sermon with Peter of just forgiving yourself. How do you see yourself? A lot of people have a very low view of themselves. They look in the mirror and they don't like what they see. And I think if we are striving to be more saint-like, I think a lot of people would say, I could never get there, or I'm not a saint. Like I'm not your guy.
Well, this goes back to understanding what constitutes you being a saint. Is it your accomplishments? Is it your leadership? Is it your character? Is it your character? Your behavior even? I believe I've heard that in order to be considered for sainthood, you have to have performed one miracle at least, or something like that. I've heard that
what's
before.
The Catholic requirements for canonization?
Yes, and so. And I just find all of this to be very fascinating. I'm very much looking forward to this because in the many years I've been doing this, I've never done a series on saints, and I think it's fascinating.
Well, and I think there's a dichotomy in everything, and we've talked about this a lot already in the Peter series, but this split between what you do and who you are, sort of your actions and your character. And I think that, I mean, you have to have a conversation about all of that, but we usually lean in one direction or the other. And when they get connected, usually it's in a pretty unhealthy way. And so I'm excited to see how it all pans out. But yeah, I am not sure how this one's going to go.
That's probably good. Like, it's pretty early on in your Creekwood story. You're already dipping your toe into some uncharted waters.
We're going to see.
I like it.
We're going to see.
So Halloween is this Friday.
Yeah.
And what do you normally do for Halloween? Like, do you hand out candy? Does your neighborhood have?
We used to. Our neighborhood is great for trick or treating. It's a soup. So our neighborhood it's where we are. It's all square roads. So our neighborhood is like this square, city block, and it's like cut into 4 quadrants. There's a middle school and an elementary school in the neighborhood. Everybody goes to the same school. They all know each other. There's a big park. There's a lot of festivals. It's a very intense community. There's no apartments. It's all single family houses. And so they did a redistricting and they redrew the lines a couple years ago, and they were going to split our elementary school. They were going to move half our neighborhood to a different elementary school. And there were like riots because of it. There were signs everywhere. They tied ribbons to trees. There were probably, 15 elementary schools in this conversation at the school board meeting. And they had an open forum for anyone to come and give speeches when they made this proposal. There were probably, 30 people there to speak. There were maybe 5 that weren't from this one elementary school.
Wow.
And so and they weren't even closing the school. They were just trying to move part of the neighborhood out. So all to say, there is a very intense neighborhood connection in our neighborhood. It's one of the reasons we love it so much. So trick-or-treating is wonderful. There are multiple streets that they close down, and every house is super decorated. A lot of the teachers from our kids' elementary school all go right across the street from the school on the next street over. One of the kindergarten teachers lives, and at her house, there's 20 teachers, and they all sit out on the front lawn. And so when the kids go, they can all see all their teachers, and they get candy from all this. So there's an elementary teacher house. Yeah. So it's this big deal, especially there's 2 or 3 streets where there's just massive Every house participates. They shut it down for traffic.
I love that.
So we go out trick-or-treating, and when the kids were really little, we would go super early. So by the time even the sun went down, when you have like a 2-year-old, you're back home. And so we would hand out candy. Well, now our kids are older. We're gone. Like, we're not there to hand out candy. So I'll tell you a funny story about it. So we only did this one time. Maybe it was 3 years ago. We set out just a bucket of candy that said, like, please take one. It's the honor system or whatever. Like, and people would come up, and everybody would come up. Oh, this is cool. And they take a piece of candy and they go. Sometimes a teenager would grab 2 or 3, but who cares? So we were at the end of our trick-or-treating. We're like at the kind of the end of our street, doing the last house, about ready to come back to our home. Well, we have a Ring doorbell, so we can see the front porch. And so I'm looking at it just to make sure, like, nobody messed with anything or whatever, everything's fine. And there are these teenagers who come up to the front porch and they like look around, they see the sign, and they grab the whole bucket and run. And I was like, I don't care about the candy. Honestly, I'm glad you took it. We're about to go home. We have more candy we know what to do with. I don't care if you took all the candy. But they took the plastic bucket, which was like one of the Tupperware's like big bins we used to store like kids' toys in.
Yeah.
And Emma was like, I want my bucket back. Well, we were only like 2 blocks from our house. And so I was telling her about this as we left, and she's like looking around for him. Well, she sees him like walking up the sidewalk toward her. And Emma, she used to like do children's ministry. She's the oldest of younger siblings. Like, she has no fear of teenagers. And I was like, I don't care. Like, whatever. I'm not gonna mess with this. She was like, no, hold my bag. I was like, oh my God. So she ran him down and confronted him. And she was like, you stole this from my house. We have you on camera. And she said, I don't want the candy bag, but I want my bucket. And they were like shaking. They were like, yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. And they like handed the bucket and they sprinted down this alleyway. They were like they were all like very tall 17-year-old boys. And my wife's like 5'2" or something. And she was like, give me my bucket back. They were like peeing their pants, giving it to her. They took off, and then she just like strolled back. She was like, it's like, what did you do? And she
Got
said,
the bucket.
wanted my bucket. I was like, you traumatized those teenagers. She's like, well, they should have taken my bucket. So anyway, Emma is the nicest person in the world, but she's terrifying in those moments. So anyway,
fantastic.
after that year, we stopped putting out candy for the kids, and we turn all the lights off and just make it clear like we're not home, and so nobody comes in and does it at our house, because we're out the whole time with the kids. And now we're at the point now where it is, we're almost there. I think maybe next year will be kind of the beginning of the golden years where like Henry's not a teenager yet, so he's still with us, but Margot's old enough where we're okay. Because for a while we're in a stroller. She's tiny. Like, where are we going? They're a flight risk. We don't know where they went. But now they're all old enough, but they're not too cool for school yet. So I think we're going to get a couple of years where we can walk around with like our little friend group, and the kids can all run and trick or treat, but they're not going to run off, or we're not going to worry about them getting trampled or whatever.
I love that.
And so I think we're kind of in a little bit of a golden era for a few years for trick or treating. But no, we love it. I mean, we walk around with all of the kids' friends. We have the little parent friend group, and we were walking. It's a great. It used to be a disaster of a night because it's just little kids and it's a nightmare, and you're in a stroller and they've got to pee and you got to go back to the house and there's all these issues. But now it's we can wait till it gets dark because they're not too scared. And
Yeah.
it's nice. So yeah, we go around our house, very classic, old school trick or treating. And the kids love it.
Okay, so we've talked about this before in a previous podcast, but I wanted to kind of, now that it's like almost here, bring this up. So I know your favorite holiday is Thanksgiving.
You know it.
And it's, I love all your reasons for it. I think it is such a fabulous holiday. And when you really lean into it the way you do, man, every family needs
It's underrated.
an Alex to say, no, this holiday rocks. Fantastic.
So we went to Hobby Lobby over the weekend because we had to get some extra stuff for Henry's costume because we had to custom make it because it doesn't matter. We're custom making his costume. We went to Hobby Lobby and Emma's car was in the shop. So we all had to go. She was going to go by herself, but we were like, you know what? We only have one car. We both got to do errands. Let's just pack all the kids up. We'll go. We'll knock them all out. It was a terrible idea. But we went and we're in Hobby Hobby Lobby because all the Christmas decorations are half off. Now, because I loved it. I'm the one who decorates the house. I'm crazy about it. I love it. We go overboard all the time. We're not like, you don't drive to our house to see stuff. It's mostly on the inside that I like to decorate. But I was like, it's half off Christmas decorations. We're going. So my job was to take the two little ones around to look at Christmas decorations while Henry and Emma found the stuff they needed for his costume. Well, that broke down very fast. Their eyes they want to grab everything. So anyway, we got a second Christmas tree, a little Grinch. They had a little silly Grinch Christmas tree, like the green one that leans over. We got it for the kids' playroom, and I let them all get an ornament, which was a disaster because they couldn't make a decision. Because Hobby Lobby has like 3 aisles of Christmas ornaments, and they were like,
ridiculous.
What do I get? I was like, I don't care. Just stop breaking them. They're all glass, and I'm like, stop touching it. Anyway, so it was crazy. But all to say, they're asking, why are there so many Christmas decorations? And Emma was like, trying to explain to the kids, like, well, they're on sale because if you get them earlier, it's not in the season. But also, like, some people, this is Emma talking, some people like to put their Christmas tree up and their Christmas decorations up November 1st. And those people are bad people because they're wrong. And I was like, that's right, children. So if any of your friends say that it's Christmas time, they are sinners and do not listen to them. We didn't really say all that, but we have a very strong, like, no Christmas decorations until after Thanksgiving in our house. One year we caved because it was like COVID or something, and we were just like depressed in our home. But because we've always made such a big deal of Thanksgiving,
So
and
do
we
you
travel
have
for it, so
just
we're not home
generic
anyway.
Fall decor.
We do.
And then do you put the fall decor out at the same time as the Halloween?
No.
Because it's so Halloween, then fall,
Right.
then Christmas.
Correct.
Okay.
There's some crossover. There's a lot of pumpkin stuff. If it's
Yeah,
not
lot of
jack-o'-lantern, pumpkin stuff can stay up. So there is a little crossover where we'll do all of our Halloween, and then we'll take down Halloween and leave out anything that's a little fall adjacent. But I do have a whole, tub that's just for November. It's not enough though. That's the one I'm lacking in, because we're not here for Thanksgiving. So like, I'm a little.
Where do you go?
Well, so we go to Thanksgiving with our friends from seminary, and we have ever since we were in school. We couldn't afford to travel for Thanksgiving and Christmas. None of us could. And so we all picked Christmas. And so we started doing Thanksgiving together. And some of our friends in that group just have like real stressful family gatherings. And so it was kind of an excuse for them to not have to go to one of them. And we didn't have that. We like going to our family gatherings, but we wanted to see our friends. And this was became a tradition. So it's like on Thanksgiving itself. Like we've told our families for years now, like, if you want to do Thanksgiving with us, you got to do it a different day. So we don't do Thanksgiving with her family at all. Mine does it like a week before, and then we go. So we rotated it around. It's usually in either Chicago, Minnesota, Houston, Dallas. We went to Shreveport one time because we just had Henry, I think. And Emma's parents live in Shreveport. So we let him stay with them, but we were close enough because he was only like 6 months old or something. And so we rented a house there, but we bounced all around.
So when you get back from Thanksgiving, it's just go nuts with Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Well, because we're all preachers. And so like we come back on Friday or Saturday. What we started doing is we started eating Thanksgiving on Wednesday. We get there on Monday or Tuesday, and then we cook and eat on Wednesday so we can have leftovers. Because we used to wait until Thursday and eat. Well, we would all fly out on Friday. So we'd make a huge Thanksgiving dinner. We get to eat it like once, and then we'd have to like throw it away, or one person,
one person has like enough food for
exactly.
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
we started eating it on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we eat leftovers, and then on Friday we go out and eat food somewhere like at a restaurant. And it's been a really great setup. So
I like that.
The traditions have shifted over the years, but now this is the first year, because now we had kids way before everybody else. And so, but now everybody has children in the group. And so this is the first year we're taking the kids. We've never taken the kids before. And so we're doing it. And actually, it's going to be a lot smaller because one of the couples, they just adopted another kid. And so they have a newborn at home. So they're not coming. But yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it with the kids this year, which is going to be different. Usually it's like a nice break because we get to see these friends we only see once a year, and we're away from our kids for 3 or 4 days. So,
And see, for most people, or like just in public spaces, so shopping centers, malls, whatever, like it's Christmas now as of Saturday.
Yeah.
And so I like that. I really do, because like I was just talking about this yesterday, how because it was kind of overcast for a lot of yesterday. And I was like, oh, it's all gloomy and stuff on Saturday. I was like, yeah, but during Christmas time, that's so cool because like the Christmas lights are this harsh juxtaposition of like bright and joyful versus the sky, which is just like a bummer. But I love that. I think that,
but I like the gloomy. Like I like it when it's cold. I like it when it rains. Like when everyone's like, it's summer and it's clear and it's sunny, and I'm like, ugh, no, pass.
Pass.
I don't like it. I don't like the summer. I don't like the sun. I don't like the heat. So no, when it's cold and
that's
on
my favorite
Sunday,
response to that I've ever heard. Oh, it's summertime.
Ugh,
pass.
No, unsubscribe. I don't want that. So,
okay.
No, I love
so
it.
Saints coming in. If you put your Christmas decorations up on Saturday, you're a sinner.
That's right.
Like me.
Jesus is here for you.
Somebody has to be. And it's gonna be a fun month. I'm looking forward to all this.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be good.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Catch you in the next one.